It's space weather. Looking at the sun at 304 angstroms. You got filaments, plasma filaments all over the eastern limb. Some on the western limb, too. We got extremely low electron flux. And we've got a new segment. Without further ado, let's get to our new ingenious segment. Always providing some of the most cutting-edge information for you. All right, the new segment. We're going to provide a random fact. Today's random fact is that making a murderer Stephen Avery does not even own underwear. The number one WTF moment, according to U.S. Weekly News, is Avery's commando status was revealed during his rape case in 1985. The victim, Penny Biersten, said her assailant was wearing white underwear when she was attacked along a beach in Wisconsin. His post-conviction lawyer, however, claimed he doesn't own any underwear, white or otherwise. Just sharing the important facts with you out there, people. All right, now, let's look at some space weather stuff. Here's your X-ray imager. You can see there's a little bit of activity in the northeastern limb. Which has been there for a couple days. And first of all, here's your LASCO C3. Nothing really going on there. And here's your electron content. Not going to be very high. And there you have it. Moving on to the solar wind. We just got through some perturbations in the BTBZ, I can see. It did not spawn any large earthquakes. Nothing in the 6 range in the past 2 days. Phi angle seems to be settling on 249. That must be the one of those coronal holes. Getting a little bit of a wind stream density increase to 7.54 protons per cubic centimeter and a 339 low-speed solar wind coming in. 339 kilometers per second is always low. Look at some more SDO images. Here's your 193 angstroms. Be able to see the incoming coronal holes. They're quite well defined and quite magnetically significant. There they go. Let's take a look at the magnetic lines in 171 angstroms. You can see the lines are a bit jumbled here in between the coronal holes. No surprise there. And you got some jumbled up lines down in this area. This area here is finally a little bit more normal looking. And got a couple days before the wind stream from that Earth-facing coronal hole shows up, probably about 3 days, maybe Tuesday evening. We would expect that to be arriving. All right. And let's head to spaceweathernews.com. Look at some of the data we have not yet seen. Magnetometer's looking weak. KP index is at 1. Electron flux is completely tanked. It barely made it above 10 to the third yesterday. Here's our F2 ionosphere layer, which is actually surprisingly charged with a 10 megahertz section. The northern hemisphere is looking a little anomalous too. I'm going to keep an eye on that throughout the day. Probably get another spike in it, especially as solar protons arrive. All right. And that pretty much covers it. Thanks for watching the videos. Please help us grow our subscribership by sharing our videos on social media. Please press the subscribe button. Press like. Gonna be doing it every day. Oh, and I almost forgot. Looked at some cosmic ray sites. We've seen a couple small spikes in the past couple of days. Here's Ulu. You can see on the 26th and the 27th, there were small cosmic ray spikes. Looking at the Antarctica, significant increase in Antarctica. Some of the highest levels we've seen in quite a while, actually. Came in about 3/4 of the way through the 26th. Made it all the way up to 3% higher than normal. Mexico City's been sending some good data. Let's take a look at that. Interesting. Yesterday actually represented a very low cosmic ray day. Links to all these sites in the description. Thanks again for watching. Remember, on your way studying coronal holes, don't drink. And if you drink, study coronal holes anyway.